Take a look through any Facebook photography group or forum and you're bound to come across the phrase "gear doesn't matter." But if that's the case, I probably wouldn't have got this shot. As ever in photography, it's not black and white. There are nuances, and today I'm going to explain why. The simple fact is that gear doesn't matter most of the time for most people. Light, composition and story will always trump camera specs. The simple fact is that you can go out today with any camera and take amazing shots. The camera doesn't matter, the story does, the exposure does, the sharpness does, but you can get all of those with the most basic of cameras, be it a film camera, an iPhone or a top-end mirrorless camera. This shot, for example, could have been taken last week on my Sony Alpha 7 R5. But it wasn't. It was taken 40 years ago on a £50 Zenit 11 film camera. This shot, again, could have been taken on a Sony Alpha 7 R5, but it wasn't. It was taken on an iPhone. These types of shots, the average type of shot that most of us take when we go out, does not need specialist gear. There is a subsection of photographers that seem to obsess over sharpness, exposure, pixel density, resolution. And to be quite honest, if the image works, that really doesn't matter. That's all banal waffle that just clouds the actual appraisal of a good image. If the image is good, it doesn't matter what it was taken on. For 90% of images and 90% of photographers, gear really doesn't matter. However, if you're a professional or an advanced enthusiast taking certain genres, for example sports photography, perhaps weddings where you need low light capability, commercial photographers that need very, very high pixel counts and really good dynamic range, then the gear really does matter. Advanced enthusiasts who might be shooting wildlife, astrophotographers, the gear there does matter. There are specific genres that require you to have the right gear. Dual card slots, weatherproofing, good fast buffers are all tools that some of us will require in our photography, and that's where gear really does matter. But it's not a huge percentage of us that are going to need those. If we return to this image, it was taken in Antarctica, and I said I wouldn't have been able to get this shot. Now, I possibly could, but the simple facts are that as bright as this image looks, there was a howling Force 9 gale going on. The ship that I was on was moving all over the place. I needed to have a very high shutter speed. And with a very high shutter speed, I needed to have a very wide aperture. In this case, f2.8. It was an 80 to 200mm f2.8 Nikon lens. I was at the 200mm end. It's a shot where gear really did matter. This shot, for example, also required specific gear. I was shooting on a 100 to 400mm lens, APS-C camera, and that gave me a 1.5 times crop. So effectively, this image is shot at 600mm in a Force 10 gale. I needed image stabilization and I needed to be on a monopod as well, just to hold that camera steady. Without that specific gear, I probably would not have been able to get this shot. But the real problem is that we tend to obsess over gear rather than obsessing over the image. We're sucked into a cycle of new cameras, boosted by influencers on YouTube telling us what we should buy and why this camera is so much better than that camera, why I swapped from this camera to that camera, why I've bought this lens, why you should buy this lens. It kind of makes us creatively lazy. We procrastinate in our photography because we don't feel that we have the right gear. And because there's new gear coming out, we wait and then we purchase it and we go out and we shoot with it. And yes, we do shoot more with it. Briefly. That honeymoon period with new gear doesn't last long, and eventually you slip back into that procrastination, that feeling that I cannot get the shots that I want with the gear that I have at the moment, and then the cycle returns and continues. Instead, what you need to do is go out and focus on the realities of photography, the things that make an image special, the composition, the light, the exposure, the story. Go out with the gear that you already possess and look for those types of opportunities. Try and fit the shots that you want to take into the gear that you've got. And don't get into the trap of feeling that I want to take this shot so I need to buy a particular type of lens. Study the craft, learn the compositions, learn the exposure, and you will find the need to constantly upgrade fading away. If you do have money burning in your pocket, why not put it into some education? Buy some photography books, take a photography course. You will actually find yourself using your current gear so much more efficiently if you do that than by spending that money on new gear itself. Good photography is about confidence in your ability and confidence in the gear that you've got. Once you've gained confidence as a photographer, you will actually gain the confidence to understand the limitations of your gear. And then once you've understood the limitations of the gear that you've got, you can make much more informed, better decisions about the gear that you need. You're not going to be influenced by some YouTuber telling you that you need this particular type of gear. You're going to go with your own experience and gut and purchase the right things. And it will save you money. And here's the thing. I bet any of you, like me, could pick up any camera, walk out now and get 3 fantastic shots without really having to try, using the gear you own and adapting the gear into the shots that you've got in front of you, and not trying to find shots that would be impossible with the gear that you've got just to justify something new. Gear is just tools. It matters when it needs to, but really it's just about you. So let me know in the comments, has gear ever held you back, or has it helped you level up against other photographers and other genres? If you've enjoyed the video, a like would be fantastic, a sub would be even better, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.